So this is the drain bung fitted to the bottom of American World War II tanks. Sherman, Chaffee, Stewart, and I'm sure a few others as well. As you can see, it's in quite poor condition, or the other ones were. This one here is the one I've got to copy, and it's probably the best example I've ever seen, and it still actually works, which is quite amazing really, considering, you know, they're well over 75 years old now.
Don't you just hate it when you spent the last 20 minutes talking to yourself? Happens to quite a lot of people quite a lot of the time.
Yeah, you mainly.
So, I've got two experimental casts here. This one I don't expect to come out. It's quite an intricate little part. It's for World War II Tank. I'm going to be casting it in aluminium, as I do because I've got quite a few of these to make. And the original one, which is this, is not in too good a condition. So I'm just experimenting with this one to see how it fails, and I'm pretty sure it is going to fail. But I'm going to have a crack at it anyway. I'm doing this one, which should work out. I had a bit of space, I thought, well, I'll give it a go anyway. It's not going to take any more time to do. In fact, the videos are taking far more time than anything else. But for some reason or other, people are interested in what I do.
As the bit wasn't really castable, I've decided to do a 3D model. This is my first attempt. You can see pretty much here how the parts are put together. You can see on the lower edge angle later on in the picture that I didn't quite get this right. This one would have been a problem to pull from the sand. So eventually I scrapped this and started on the second one. So this is the second model. I've got a bit of taper on the main side. I was experimenting with two at the same time, seeing what differences I could get between the two. In the end, the one on the right, which we'll think would turn purple in a minute, I think, is the one that I end up using. I managed to get a nice rounded contour on the bottom edge. Or should I say, this one became the third pattern. The software I've been using was Tinkercad. It's by Autodesk. It's free to use, relatively simple. It's also quite basic. I'm now using Fusion 360. So this is number 3. So this gives you a better idea of how the fluting's done. The cutouts there create the fluting, and they're basically hollow versions of the black item which is on the left. The yellow plug you can see at the top of the picture forms the indentation in the bottom, the hollowed section, shall we say, from underneath. The yellow one has got the plug fitted in it currently in this picture. If I turn it over in a second, you'll see There you can see the plug installed. The purple one having been hollowed out. Now the idea was going to ram these up as individual components, much like I did try with the original, but it really wasn't going to work out very well, and I could see it after I'd started playing with it. So I had to come up with a fourth and final version, luckily, which is the one that I later go on to use. And I've done that by basically turning it into a pattern board. So again, here's the component which hollows out the flutes in the top. And you should see it leave those hollows as it disappears in a second. So in this example, it looks like the plug is fitted, but to an extent it is, but you have to take into account the thickness of the match board. So when I flip it over, you'll see the hollowed section for the plug at the bottom. So effectively, if you created the same hole without the match board, you'd end up with the part looking like it should do. The biggest problem I had was the corner of these flutes. I couldn't quite work out how to remove such a sharp edge. I wanted to try and keep them as clean and sharp as I could, but it could have been done with a little bit rounder. The gating system wasn't very good either, really. I had a first of all intention to cast it upside down, but that really wasn't going to be the best way of casting it, so in the end I cast it the way up. You can actually see it now. I should have not bothered with the gating system, just cut them by hand.
This is a bit of an awkward mould, this one, and it requires a lot of patient finger packing, if that doesn't sound rude. But the shape of it is a bit too sharp and aggressive, really, to be the ideal mould pattern. But at the moment I've only got 6 of these to produce, so if it was going to be a lot more than that, I think I'll be putting a bit more development into it. And as it is, I've spent enough time on this. But it will work, and it has. And I've already got 3 of these sitting on the bench, and it's just a bit of a difficult one to produce. This is a run-of-the-mill garden dipper. Quite a handy little thing, really. I've said before, it's amazing what tools you can just pick up out there that really do help you in your casting. I've been racking my brains to try and remember what I made this flask for. I've got a funny feeling I possibly never actually cast what I made it for. But it's coming handy for this one. Now I found with this part, because it's such a small part, it fills up really quickly. To give me some sort of idea that when it's filling up, I've started putting this little overflow area, shall we say. Purely simply because I've had a few spillages where I'm just tipping it in there and it's just like, oh, it's full up, overflow. And it sort of happens so quickly, you really, for the first time I cast one of these, it was like, no, there's no way that's come out. I have no way I've poured any metal in there at all. But it had, and it entirely filled. Very strange pattern. Just a minor bit of pull, which is normally the case with this pattern. As you can see, the really sharp contours on the edges here. It's a very awkward cast. To give you some idea, that's a previous cast. And you can see where I've had a little bit of pull on those ones, but it's all got to be machined up anyway afterwards. So, in hindsight, maybe I should have made it a little bit different, just done these slots machining wise. Okay, let's see what we've got. Done a few of these now, so I'm pretty confident it should be okay. Keep you in suspense by knocking out the non-important bit. There we go.